All right, so I want to welcome Reggie back to the show. She is our longtime guest and friend, and
Hey.
I saw a video that you did a little while ago. I don't know if you was on someone else's show or not, but I thought it was maybe you were interviewing somebody.
Um, Maybe. I mean, I was probably being interviewed showing a doctor on there, maybe talking
You
about
were,
my lab work.
yes, yes, yes. So was that your interview or were you being interviewed?
So my interview, because we were actually talking about my results of a test called the Dutch test.
The
So
Dutch test.
yeah, uh, many different types of tests that you can take, and depending on what type of doctor you go to. So, I mean, we can get into that if you want to right now, or
It's important get that baseline. As I mentioned to you
yes,
all earlier, we partnered with Let's Get Checked, so they're sponsoring the video. I want you all to check out the link. I put the link in there, 25% off on test kits. Get your
that's awesome.
baseline, and then you can do your follow-up blood work, and you can see not only how do you feel, like how are you feeling when you're doing these different changes, but then you can see it with the blood work, which
Right,
just helps to create confirmation that you're moving in one direction or another. And
right.
we want to get ahead of this, you know what I mean,
Yes,
so that we can
yeah.
age like fine wine. You know,
You
that's
age like fine wine, right?
yeah.
Hormones, cholesterol, all that. It all matters, and that's why you should know what your starting point is and where you're going with
Sure. We
it.
we might listen. So I'll set people up just a little bit. Maybe people who don't know. Okay, first of all, I know y'all know Reggie. If you're a fan of the channel, you know Reggie. She's been on. She's interviewed me. We love Reggie.
Oh,
Yet she has her own YouTube channel. She's an influencer. She uh, does. I'm assuming you do some coaching still,
I
or
still do
okay,
coaching. Yes,
all right,
yes. I'm
uh,
a holistic nutritionist certified. I
okay,
wanted to get that done and really do more research and get more, take more of a deep dive in dietary needs and how it affects our health, but also how we can live our optimum level of health no matter what age we are.
yes,
Yeah.
excellent. So, um, we have come and we've talked about many different subjects. Spoiler alert: Reggie is over 50 years old, which I always like people to know that, because if you don't tell them, they're never gonna know. She just looks so young and youthful, but she focuses on, or at least right now, she's been focusing on issues with women over 50.
Yes.
So one of the reasons why I wanted to bring her on here was to talk about that test that you got, why you got the test, the importance of testing, what you're experiencing, maybe what are some of the things you're doing to help with what you're experiencing. So let's get into all of that.
Oh, okay. Well, let's get into it. Well, I have no problem sharing my own personal endeavors and what's happening in my life at this age now. So I'm 52, and oh my goodness, 53 next month, and time is ticking.
Time is ticking away.
Yeah, yeah. But the interesting thing about all this is, I found at the beginning of the year that I'm in post-menopause, not even perimenopause. So the difference there is can be night and day. Perimenopause, usually you have some type of cycle. I don't have a cycle because I've had a hysterectomy, a partial one. But I've always had, I thought it was pretty easy, pretty normal, with the effects of the hysterectomy. That was over 7 years ago. And finally, this menopause situation hit. Post menopause, that is what my
Mm,
doctors tell me. So I interviewed 7 different doctors, meaning not on camera, but only one on camera. But the other doctors I've interviewed, and they maybe thought they were interviewing me, but I was really interviewing them because it was about looking at the different types of medical advisors that you can work with providers, but not necessarily just sticking to one, meaning OBGYN, Hi, Candace. Thank you. So sweet. um, OBGYN is the Western medicine, right? And then I worked with naturopaths and functional doctors that are on the alternative side, just like your channel, right?
Mm.
The healthy alternative. And I think it behooves a woman and anyone to work with both at certain times in their life, uh, whatever that looks like. And if we don't really look at the foundation of where these issues are coming from, then you got to set a platform so you'll be able to compare what you're doing today in dietary ways and lifestyle ways, right? um, if you don't have a starting point, you
Right.
just saying, okay, I just want to lose 30 pounds, I want to lose 50 pounds, whatever the case. um, we know that weight is a symptom. It's not necessarily the actual issue. It's
Mm-hmm.
a symptom of the root of the issue, right? What is the root of it? I mean, what is really going on with our bodies that we are actually having these issues of weight gain and fat gain, right? Because we know that's two different things. If you are a certain weight, and you're trying to lose 10 pounds and you don't see the weight scale, moving, and not necessary, and you do some changes in your diet and your exercise, well, that doesn't necessarily mean that weight is the end all to what you're trying to accomplish. You're losing inches probably, and you have to measure yourself and look at that and compare,
Mm-hmm.
as you're going through your journey. So for me, I will say, since menopause has started, and you don't really know when it really actually started. I'm looking back and I'm investigating myself in that. Really, I probably started about a year and a half ago. uh,
Mm.
and But the symptoms, there's 22 symptoms or more for menopause.
Wow.
So I had all of them. And
Wow.
I'm working through it. So the one of the main symptoms is what women complain about is, one, weight gain, two, hot flashes, and then the
Mm.
rest is like anxiety, depression, mood swings, um, acne, hair loss. I mean, there's so many different symptoms that it could just
Wow.
go down the line. And so you're not crazy. So when you go to your OBGYN, they're probably saying, well, I'll just give you antidepressant, to deal with your mood swings. But that's not dealing with all the other symptoms of menopause. And menopause is a life change. It's not going away. It's not a disease that you can just get rid of. Once we're in menopause for the rest of our lives. And so that's half the world. And we're not talking about it enough, because it affects you in your workplace, it affects you in your relationships, and it affects, I mean, people get divorced over being in menopause and they didn't address it because they didn't know what it was,
Mm.
and why the woman was acting like, a biatch,
Oh.
right? Because I know I was snapping for no reason. And I wish I was told about this when I was 40
Mm.
and getting prepared for it.
See, and that's part of the reason why I wanted to bring you on today, because I think that as our world becomes more toxic, women are experiencing menopause earlier and earlier, and
Yes.
men have no idea what's going on. You know what I mean? I mean, the women don't know what's going on.
Right.
So,
Right.
it's important to understand that and create support systems. And, like I said earlier, I want to get into like how we can kind of manage it better and create
Yeah.
a better situation and outcome. But
Mhm.
yeah, I just appreciate you coming on and speaking about it and educating us. So please continue. But I
Yeah,
just wanted to get
yeah.
this in.
No, absolutely. I love it. Thank you for, having me on and spending a little bit of time on this subject matter, because yes, I figure, I'm not sure if your audience majority is women. I think so.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so it's very important to cover these subject matters, because when it comes down to fasting, and as I think the audience might know or not know about me, is I've always been fasting for the last 4.5 years. And I was an extreme faster where I was constantly doing 72 hours, 48 hours, like on a weekly basis. And also I was eating one meal a day. And listen, it kind of all blew up in my face in the last 6 months. It Nothing was working. My weight
Mm,
kept going up. And literally, I will say I'm about 15 pounds heavier than I was last year.
mm.
And that to me, I mean, there may be a lot to somebody else, but with my frame size, that's the heaviest I've ever been in my life
Oh,
is now.
wow.
Yeah. And I'm not happy. So, but that is a part of this menopausal when you're doing the shift in the switch over from the perimenopause to menopause, all of a sudden your weight jumps up and you can't explain it. And
Mm.
when you do the fast, I'll do the fast, and then the weight's right back on in 2 days, 3 days,
Wow.
and I'm like, what am I doing wrong? And I'm really looking at my diet. So now, for those symptoms of menopause, like for hot flashes, I found out for me, and everyone's different, but you should do investigating by elimination of certain categories or foods in your diet that will trigger the hot flashes. So
Mm.
spicy
Okay.
foods is one that can trigger. It can, and I love spicy food. So, and then two, for me, and I'm sure a lot of people will disagree, it's meat. Meat has triggered my hot flashes. And when I really
Mm.
stopped cheating with my whole food, plant based diet,
Yeah.
and then I'll say about 80% of my hot flashes have subsided.
Wow.
So that's a big deal. And I hope that us women would really pay attention to that and just test it out even. Because think about it, with animal protein, you are taking in the hormones of what the animal has, whether it's good or bad hormones, right?
Mhm.
Estrogen is the biggest thing about women that we need, but there's what I've learned so far is there's three different estrogens. They're the main estrogens. And so you have like estradiol, estrastrone, I can't even say estrone. And and then there's another estrogen. And so two of those estrogens are the estrogens that we don't need. It's for us having babies. So
Okay.
that's before menopause. So estradiol is what we need, that keeps the weight off and that helps the mood swings and all those symptoms.
Mm.
So you can get this estrogen by your dietary needs as well, but you have to be 100% on the ball to really get it.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? Like the tofu, the soybeans, it's very good for us. uh, so coming out of the ground, of course, God's nature, right, taking care of
Mhm.
us. um, and then it comes down to the stress level. So you know it's kind of like you're not taking a grip. Candace is so funny. She says I crave meat. I
Mhm.
never thought about the hormones. Yeah, I mean, even before going in menopause, I was thinking the same thing because I would eat chicken, say,
Mhm.
and I'm like, why do I feel bad after I eat chicken? And
Mm.
when you look at that, is because how what are they getting fed? They're
Right.
getting antibiotics in their body. All kind of weird things that they do to to the animals. Of course, if you watch any of these documentaries about it,
Just any documentary. That's
any documentary,
yeah.
and so, yeah, we're taking on the animal, everything that they have intake for their lifetime. So think of it that way. It's like if I need to cleanse my body and detox, then it's sure not going to happen when you're bringing meat into your system. And so
Yeah, the
I had to come
that's
to that conclusion.
that was something a conclusion I came to quite a while ago because I was watching those animal documentaries and I'm putting pieces together. Like when we were younger, we would hear that you are what you eat. Then as I get older and I'm learning about how the body absorbs nutrient and how you literally break down the chemical constituents of this product that you're eating and then it's imparted into your blood and
Right.
it literally becomes who you are. And then you start to kind of see these parallels and you realize that there's a massive effect of what we eat has on our body and in general
Mhm.
like our consumption in general
Yep.
and I think one way for people to kind of like picture this when you drink alcohol it has an effect on your mental constitution, your inhibitions, and all sorts of things, right? Like
Yep.
people who have done it, that they could tell you, yes, it makes you interact differently. Um, there's a chemical you could put on a rag. You know, if y'all watch Dexter, I can't remember the name of that chemical. He puts this chemical on
Thanks
a
for what?
rag
No, I
that
haven't
puts
watched
people to
it.
sleep. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Uh-huh.
Like chemical chemistry, it interacts with our body very quickly, very seamlessly. Sometimes you can have really outlandish results from different things we do. So of
Yep.
course, if the animals have these chemicals in their system, in their flesh, and you consume it, now it's
Yep.
going to interact with you. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. I was taking fish oil, because thinking, hey, that's what we need,
Hmm.
omegas and all that. And then I realized I don't need to take consume what the fish did consume.
Mm,
I just need to get, the algae, that type of omegas and the DHA,
nice.
EPA. So I switched over to the vegan omegas.
That was a good.
So
That was a good change there.
yeah, yeah. So I'm so excited because I just recently did that and I did not think about it because, on the front of my supplements, it doesn't say fish oil. It says, EPA, DHA, and that was my fault. And so these are the things that you have to look at. Are you having some animal protein? If you're going on to a whole food plant-based diet, if there's a lot of sneaky ways that food is just introduced to us that will have animal meat in, and then you're wondering why you're not feeling better.
Right.
You have to look at these other alternative ways, with, again, supplements. And I would love to be able to get off all my supplements with the exception of B12 and D3, because D is really necessary, especially for us African American. I find that we're very low in D, even if
Hmm.
we're in the sun, and I still will be too low. And that comes back to the blood work and the lab work. You need to monitor yourself. I take a blood test probably every 3 to 6 month increments, um, especially now, more often to see if what's working in my diet. And
Right.
also, cholesterol does bump up. You'll see some points bump up when you go into postmenopause as well. So
Mm,
there's 3 diseases that you really, really need to be aware of that we are at high risk automatically when we're in menopause. Is one, heart attack, two, osteoporosis, and three, Alzheimer's, which is
wow.
a biggie because I've seen that with my grandmother, my great grandmother. Yes, they were much older, probably in their late 80s when we actually realized that's what it was. Um, and they passed in their mid 90s. But, these are the things that we have to pay attention to, and preventative ways in your lifestyle and dietary that will help you work against these type of diseases that menopause puts you in a position that can happen.
Right. Where
Heart
you
attacks,
become
yeah, exactly. Because women, we have the warning signals are very different from a man. And with women, I mean, it could be our shoulder hurts or something,
mm,
and that's you might be having a mini heart attack. And so no
wow.
one tells us these things, and we really got to look into it and study, the effects and how there's just different ways that we handle, any kind of disease versus a man.
Well, that's the reason why I think our brands exist is because where there's a certain amount of information we're taught in school as children, depending on the level of education you get. But for the most part, it's going to be lacking no matter what level of education. There's always some personal responsibility because every person is going like you were saying earlier, women are going to experience menopause differently. You had all the symptoms. Some women may only have two or three or five. You know what I
Yes.
mean? So one of the reasons I wanted to bring you on is because I had recently partnered with a company that was offering my community discounts on blood tests.
Hmm.
The company's called Let's Get Checked, and they are
Great.
sponsoring the video. But one of the things that I wanted to kind of convey, because I just randomly saw that you were talking about like blood tests, blood work, and
Mhm.
I want to get into maybe some of the results or what you learned from that.
Sure.
But if you're checking your blood, a couple times a year, once a quarter, whatever the case may be, then it can, maybe it can get expensive or
Yeah.
whatever. And I like the way that Let's Get Checked kind of streamline the process, makes it very easy. You can call them or not call them, but you can email them and have somebody like help you walk you through your results because you got your results live and kind of
Yeah.
going over what it was. We don't speak that language, so it helps when someone's there to aid you. So I wanted to offer you all who are watching a link that can give you 30% off of like test kits. And I'm sure Reggie's going to talk about maybe some of the tests that she's done to kind of help gauge,
Mhm.
navigate this menopause thing. But I wanted to put that out there for you all because I thought it was a great partnership for us and Let's Get Checked.
Yeah, no, I love that, and that they have medical professionals that can interpret the tests. But yeah, because a lot of tests, we think we understand some of them, and yeah,
Right.
you can understand bits and pieces, but you really should have a medical professional that will translate layman's terms for you. For instance, on blood work, that it's so important for women to get, not just your regular panel that you would get at the primary, but also you need to get a thyroid panel. The
Mm.
thyroid panel, you're only going to see one aspect of thyroid on your regular, the surface panels that primaries do. I'm sorry, I don't know the actual name of that test, but T3 and T4 of your thyroid, you need to know both. And then there's a T3 free uh,
Yep.
component, right? It's very
Yep.
important when it comes to menopause as well, because that's also can be a factor of weight gain as well, because you could have hypothyroidism,
Yep.
hypothyroidism, and or hyper. If it's hyper, that means your metabolism is going quite a little too fast, and then you
Fast.
probably, yeah, lost a lot of weight. But hypo, which I found that I was lower in that edge, but you may show in a thyroid regular test that you're normal. So you can't
See?
rule that out, until you get down into the nitty gritty of it. And a lot of doctors just don't do it, but you have to tell them to.
Exactly. And it's, I mean, let's be honest, there's a lot of tests. I mean, there's a lot of tests in
Oh yeah,
general.
yeah,
Uh, so it becomes very difficult, I think, for us to keep up with all the tests. So, you got to do a little research.
yeah.
There's internal work you guys want to do, right? A doctor can't just tell you, hey, XYZ. Sometimes you got to, probe yourself a little bit and figure out what's
Mhm.
going on, and that'll help point you in the right direction. I think
Right.
it's important to state that you know yourself better than anybody, right? We usually give up our power to some doctor or something, but you know how you feel now versus how you felt 10 years ago. And
Yes.
so you can describe that. So you should play an active role in this process.
Oh, absolutely. Because I will tell you, menopause management is about you, how you feel, and tell the doctor how you feel. It's
Yeah.
not about what the doctor thinks that he needs, because he saw something on your lab, but they don't know all the symptoms that you're going through. And you probably didn't know that's all these symptoms of menopause. But if you're doing something about it, yes, there's HRT, there's bioidentical hormones too. And not necessarily a bad thing, but people just need to do their research about how it'll affect them. But also, it's about your background, your ethnicity, what is going on in your family, because people
Hmm.
get afraid of bioidentical. Because they heard of some tests back in the 90s that scared everybody about breast cancer. Um,
Yeah.
but anyway, that's another aspect of it. But that's why you should get with your naturopaths or your functional
Hmm.
doctor and your Western medicine doctor, and maybe kind of work that together, because you want to make sure you're doing some holistic things, right?
Yeah.
And then and if it's not subsiding all your issues, because let me tell you, life, you can't even live your life when you're going through an extreme version of it. And
Mm.
I found that a lot of African American women like myself and in my community, uh, it seems like they have the hot flashes worse than
Yeah, that's what I
are
heard.
seen with the Caucasians. And
Yeah.
there are articles on that we will have harsher symptoms of menopause along with Hispanics as well.
Mm.
It's pretty interesting.
Now, so my question becomes, is that environmental or is that genetic? Because we're always taught, oh, it's just, well, it just so happens, it's your genes, it's your genetics. There's nothing you could do. That's just how it is. And
Yeah.
then come to find out it's something that we're consuming. There's some major difference in lifestyle that causes that to be the case.
Yeah. Trust me, I'm always suspicious about the environment. All the air we're breathing in, I mean, it's not like it was in the 50s and 60s.
Hmm.
So, we have to do more things to get back to, say, zero to normal levels than our parents had to do.
Yeah.
And that's why it's a different way of management of menopause today versus, 30 years ago, 40 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're definitely attacked from every level. And that's why it's so important for the detoxing. Uh, I think it's very important to continue to fast if you don't have some major adrenal issues. That's another thing. You have to look at that too.
Mm.
Adrenals get hit hard. And so that Dutch test that I mentioned is a urine test. And
Okay.
that's 2 days, four different parts to it of urine, dried urine that you would do, and so that's giving you a snapshot of moment in time, but it brings up your adrenals and
Mm.
what that looks like, and then also your estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone. Um, there's a lot
All
of
these
wrongs
Latin
and
terms.
yes. And so I found that, from that video, I was plummeted on everything on that test. Everything was like zero below the postmenopausal range that
Right.
they wanted to be in. And so that uh, doctor who is, she's a functional doctor and she's a chiropractor. And so
Okay.
she said it was probably the worst
Wow.
results she's seen. And that comes from what? Most likely it's stress. It's long-term stress.
Mm.
And so you have to look at the things in your life so everything else will work in conjunction. So if you don't make some changes, like whatever's causing the major stress, I mean, I'm a caregiver for my mom who had a stroke at
Right.
55, and again, menopausal, right? And that's an attack, basically, in the heart attack family, right? Even though it's brain. Uh, and look at those things because she had such high stress, but she had a different lifestyle. She was actually a smoker. Um, and so if we don't make those changes, the job, if it's high stress and that's killing you slowly, you're gonna have to find a way. I mean, is it leaving the job? Is it just changing the type of job you're doing, or,
Right. Or the people that you
or
work
the
with
people?
daily.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because we know that people don't leave jobs; they leave their bosses. Really,
Yeah.
most of the time.
Yeah. They do.
You know,
Like that sounds aggressive to a lot of people. Wait, you
yeah,
want me to quit my job? But it's
sure,
like, well,
sure.
let's compare apples. Let's compare apples to apples. What's more important, your job or your life?
Your health, right? Your life.
Because yeah, no, because like what it boils down to, yes, your quality of life. And as your quality of life deteriorates, are you even going to be able to be functional at that job? Because that job
Mhm.
is going to let you go once you're not good to them anymore.
Absolutely, absolutely. So you can do things even if and I understand we all got to pay the bills. I'm in a full time job, high stress sales job.
Hmm.
Um, and I got to take care of my mom. I am married. I have a husband, but he has a business, and the thing is, his is a startup too. So there's a lot of bills to be paid,
Yeah.
and we have to get a caregiver, and that's paid out of pocket, which is unfortunate because certain states don't necessarily help you if
Mm.
they think you just make enough money.
Yeah, isn't that messed up?
Yeah, it's so messed up. I know. I mean, I'm paying caregivers just to be here 6 hours a day just so I can do my job. and we really need someone here 12 hours a day.
Right,
In
right.
my mom's case, because she's highly disabled, and
Mm,
she has aphasia, so she only can say a few words, and she's wheelchair bound. So there's a lot of work there, a lot of manual work, and but for me to work and pay for these caregivers and get help, and
right.
I I got to keep working.
That's
uh,
that's challenging.
it's challenging. So this is why I'm saying, if you are in a situation where you could pull back a little bit on a job you're in, maybe it's changing a job within the company, uh, maybe it's taking a sabbatical. I don't know if it's possible, but sometimes we can be resourceful and really take those things that will help you download, release some of that stress, get into some meditating, um, and really, really look at yourself, because you're priceless, right?
I think so. I mean, it's you can always get a new job. You can always buy a
Yes,
new car, a new house. Like we are the most precious things. Well,
absolutely.
I mean, I think we should be the most precious things to ourselves. Like you should care about yourself more. I think we society tries to condition us to not care about ourselves, care about everything else more than you care about yourself, especially women,
Yeah.
because you're naturally nurturers, and it's so easy to get women to just forget me. I don't even care about me. I just care about my child, or I just care about my
Yes.
husband, or I just care about this. And it's
Yes.
just like, that's no,
Yeah.
like your
Yeah.
life is important.
Very important. I mean, even if you can just take an hour a day, you can do short little mini self-care ways, take an hour, or can you get a massage, or your significant other, can they give you a massage? These are kind of things that will really make a difference uh, throughout your day, of if you're in a high stress level. And I will say 9 out of 10 of us are probably in high stress, some form of fashion, whatever that looks like.
Yeah.
um, but also not feeling like you're stuck. And another thing I would say is, do you have a girlfriend, or a male friend that you can actually talk to on a regular basis, that will just help you, decompress? So
And
that's a
not
big,
add stress.
yeah, not have stress, right?
Yeah.
We're not talking about the friends that have extra drama.
Yeah.
We're talking about the friends that really want to make sure your well-being is okay, and that they bring something to the table that would help you,
So
relax. Yeah.
yeah, people who are helping you and not detracting from your health. And there's a difference between people who we like to be around because they're entertaining, and there's people who give and they feed into us. And I think sometimes people don't know the difference between the two, because
Yeah.
if someone's entertaining you, they're giving you something, but all entertainment's not good entertainment.
Oh,
And
totally.
I
Yeah.
wanted to I wanted to touch on, because we had a question earlier asking, because I want to kind of touch on
Yes.
solutions a little bit as much as we can.
Okay.
But someone said, can if you eat like organic animals, like I
Hmm.
guess farm raised,
Right.
does the quality of the meat matter versus just eating the Tyson from Kroger or whatever?
Well, it will be up to you. Your body will tell you if it's working, or
Mm,
it's okay for your body to handle. Just for me, like I said, when I went into menopause, you are now a totally new system. Your body is totally different than what it was yesterday. So
mm.
things like I said that worked for me a couple of months ago are not working for me right now. But that just means I need to work on my adrenals, my stress levels. I mean, all that needs to be worked out before I can like hit it again in this, say, with extended fasting. So I've
Mhm.
taken a break from that. But the meats, grass fed, if you're going to go that route, lean, grass fed, organic meats would be the best way to go. I probably wouldn't, I would stay away from the dirtier animals, and, eat
Would that
lots.
be like shellfish? Because I know women love seafood.
Yes, we love seafood. And I was one of those people too. I love seafood, but if you can convert it, maybe even to salmon instead of, if that's a little tweak,
Hmm.
then maybe try salmon instead of trying, and that's wild caught instead of farm raised.
Yeah.
Uh, and like I said, it's up to you to make those choices. I'm just sharing what has worked for me, but also that I realize I just can't do any of it.
Good,
Uh,
good. Yeah.
yeah.
You see
So,
that's actually a very good point, Reggie, because I tell people all the time, they gotta be like, Chris, what's the best fast to do? It's the one that you can be consistent with. It's the one that's gonna work for you. We every
true.
people are always gonna have all their ideas and stuff, but it's important once again for us to be present in our wellness journey. So as you all are looking for, solutions to either deal with menopause or postmenopause, or maybe you just want to try to be get ahead of it, you want to do what's working for you. Like,
Yes, yes, because we
yeah.
can't say, all the solutions are not going to be right here as a in a general sense. Everyone's going to be customized, right, to the specific needs they have. For instance, alcohol. I know that's a trigger for hot flashes because it
Oh.
turns into sugar. Because
Mm.
sugar is an alcohol is a trigger, but sugar is a trigger for everything. It's a trigger for
Right.
cancer, right? It's a trigger for a lot of diseases. So if you can get sugar, take one thing, even if I wouldn't try to jump in everything 100% because that
Hmm.
could set you up to fail. But I gradually went from one category to the next and started eliminating. So I
Right.
eliminated sugar. I even eliminated oil what I cooking with. I
Mm.
eliminated salt for now, um, just to see
Right. Right.
how I felt, because it's about how you feel, and
Hmm.
and you're not trying to knock somebody's head off because you're having a mood swing.
Right. And
you know
I'll say this: when it comes to like the flavor, your palate, it will adjust based on the dietary changes. Because I know it sounds very like unappealing to make a lot of
Mm.
these changes. Oh, I've always eaten meat. Oh, I've
Yes.
always had dairy.
Oh, that
But
was me. That was me. I love white
yeah,
cheese. Are you kidding me? Oh,
yeah,
I love cheese.
yeah.
But
But
yes, your taste buds will start to, it's like wine, right? You get the taste bud for different types of wines. If it's acquired taste,
it's an
right?
acquired taste.
Yeah. So it's acquired taste for eliminating these things, but it's not about taking away. It's about what you're gaining. You're
Mhm,
gaining excellent weight, not excellent weight, but your ideal weight. you're
mhm,
you're gaining optimum health
mm,
in general and feeling better in every way. And that means affecting your hormones, balancing out those hormones that are all over the place. And because yeah, you can feel out of control when you're going through this time of your life, but
that
food will add to all the chaos when you're eating the wrong foods. Try it, even try it for 2 weeks. If you could
right.
commit for 2 weeks and say, you know what, I'm not going to have meat for 2 to 3 weeks, even, and your body will tell you something different and see how you feel.
That's a
It,
really good perspective. Like don't look at what you're taking away. Look
right.
at what you're gaining, because
Yeah.
there's always the you know cause and effect. So
Mhm.
if the cause is I'm not eating meat and you feel like okay, that's a takeaway, what are you gaining? Because
Right.
if you take something away, you have to gain something. You can't just it's not like you take something away, you lose something. Like
Yeah.
it's there's always like a balance of positive and negative in everything that we do.
Yeah,
Um,
totally. Yeah, I was that person that I said, "Are you kidding me? I can't cook without oil." You know,
right.
but you can look at an alternative and say, I got an avocado oil spray, 0 calories, right? And,
Hmm.
just to help from sticking, when you're cooking. Or, maybe you want to make some potato fries, right? And in an air fryer. So I
Hmm.
may spray a little bit just to get it a little bit more crispy. Now, some people will be against that. And even if they're against that, maybe you put paprika on and that gives it a nice crispiness to it.
Mm.
So there's a lot of
And
alternative
you
things
you
you can
start
do.
learning techniques.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
it is fun. It's fun to learn all these things. And like, how can I manipulate, you know, in a good way,
Right, right.
foods that I really enjoyed before, but now I find an alternative for it that, it really does feel, um, fulfill you in your
Mhm.
thirst, and there's a good book to read about that, is The Pleasure Trap. And
Ah,
yeah, and The Pleasure Trap, is talking about, right, how you gain your taste buds for the good foods, great foods, plant-based, whole foods, and then you start to crave that instead of,
mhm.
just all the the hot dogs and cheeseburgers and all that.
Yeah.
Trust me, I was the girl that ate. I was flowing through In-N-Out Burger. I mean,
Well,
that was my thing.
see, and that's so the goal, especially when we talk about preventative things, is to start early,
Yeah,
right? So that you don't have to like make up, because it's like when we're young and we're healthy, our bodies are still functioning. It's like we don't care. But
yeah.
then, you know, them late 30s hit, and even the early 30s start hitting, and things start breaking down quick.
Oh yeah. Oh
Like
yeah.
it's fast how quick things start to, so yeah,
Change.
I think balance is important. I do my best to convey that message. I don't tell people, hey, stop doing anything completely. You got to go 100%. I don't think that's a healthy way to approach it.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
well, that's not healthy to do 100% the bad stuff all the time either. Duh.
True.
Like,
Yeah.
you're
I
like,
mean, yeah.
there's a lot of people that don't do anything healthy. And then when you suggest something healthy, they're like, oh, no, no, I could never. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, like,
Right.
I hope you understand that, 10, 20 years from now, you're going to be dealing with the outcomes of those decisions.
You really do. And like I said, I dealt with it with both my parents. They both had strokes 6 months apart of each other, and they're uh, been divorced for 30 years. And they were in their 50s. My dad was 58, my mom was 55. And that was a consequence of, lifestyle and, dietary. I
Mm.
really believe it. They were eating junk food and, workaholics and smoking, which is a big factor. And I'm
Yeah.
telling you, your body remembers everything you do to it,
Mm.
10 years from now, so and these are the things I'm realizing as well. But I do know, if you take one thing away at a time, and that causing you these issues, right? These
Yeah.
these symptoms of the menopause, and really you get an extreme issues there. Just your attitude, your moods. Um, do you know that divorce rate goes up extremely high for
Mm.
women in menopause? I
I
mean,
believe it.
yeah. And so, and if we came back and had balanced out our hormones, you really regret what you may have done, you know?
Mm.
Once you realize, wow, I really was kind of out of my mind in a way. In a way. So,
Yeah.
to think of.
That's, I had a guest on my show one time who was talking about that. She wasn't going through menopause, but she was dealing with heavy periods and just
Hmm.
heavy, everything comes along with it, right? All the PMS symptoms.
Sure.
And she told me, like, yeah, I lost relationships because of it. And what you're saying sounds similar to that.
Oh yeah. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
no, no. And that's what led up to my hysterectomy, because I had major fibroids.
Right, right.
And you probably talked about that in some of your videos, but
Oh,
um,
yeah.
of where this stems from, right?
Hmm.
I mean, one thing I would say is I used to perm my hair.
Right.
I thought that may have been a fault, over, I don't know, how long did I do it? Like 20 years. I
That
was texturizing my hair, just to loosen up the curls.
Right, them beautiful curls. It's so crazy because it's like,
Crazy.
you know,
Yeah.
the and now what women are doing that they probably don't realize, because a lot of women are like, well, I'm natural, but you never see their natural hair. They're always wearing something on their head, and then you got to
Sure.
think, are you putting glue on your head? Because the,
Yeah.
the the trends have changed, right? Maybe women aren't relaxing as much, but they're gluing these weaves
Oh,
and
the lace
wigs and
fronts
the
and
lace fronts,
I
and
mean,
you have,
hey, I gotta say they look beautiful, but you know what?
but
I never really did it, with the exception of when I was in hosting, broadcasting kind of things. They wanted you to have the straight hair, so I straightened out my hair, but I would put in extensions. But
Right.
they were just
But
clip-ins.
but what is the chemicals? What are the
Yeah,
forget the look.
yeah.
Because yeah, you look good, great. Now
Mm.
20 years from now you're dealing with all these diseases. You don't know where they came from,
You don't know
you
where they
know?
came from. I'm telling you.
So it's
So
there was this lady, and I've told this story before, but this lady, she had passed away. She was a black lady, and when they did the autopsy on her and they inspected her brain, they found that she had a green slime.
mhm,
That liquid that kind of protects the brain.
yeah.
There was a green. It was green. It was like a green slime from all the perms and all the stuff and all
Oh,
the chemicals she put on her hair.
no, that's
So
understandable. I mean, I still do a semi-permanent for color for my grays. But the sun, I find, does, gives you the sun kiss look.
it will
So,
bleach. It'll bleach. Like if you want to do something to my hair gets real sandy. Like
mm,
the way that your color is now, I'll get little spots of it, and I'm just going out in the sun. Like the sun
yeah.
will do that to your hair.
It does. It
Yeah.
does. So, I don't have to, I extend it out longer and longer now on doing any color. Because I got a lot of gray. And I know gray is pretty hot when you get it when it's fully gray, but I'm not ready to go the silver route just
No, there's there like on TikTok and Instagram, there's been these gray women and these gray men,
yeah,
and they got the fit bodies, and they're just
yeah. Oh no, they look great.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
it's
but
it's definitely a
it's
thing.
the transition period though is all. Whew,
Right,
you
right.
gotta basically do a big chop, again, because I've done that a couple of times, so I get it.
I actually used to look forward to like the salt and pepper look because I just thought
Yeah,
men look so distinguished with that, like, little bit
yeah.
of gray.
No, I think it
Uh
looks wonderful on you guys. I really do. Um,
yeah, I've since changed. I'm like, yo, now I'm gonna keep my dark hair as long as possible because I'm on a different path. But when or if I get to that point, I'll be okay with it. I think it's
Oh
fine.
yeah, no, I mean, you guys. I think you guys have it easy on that end. Is let it go. You can.
Man, we age like fine wine. Shoot.
Yes, that's
Yeah,
right. That's right.
yeah,
Well, and this is what I mean about dietary. We can all age like fine wine if
definitely.
we're putting the right things in our body because it does show
Definitely.
through your skin, the biggest organ,
Mm-hmm.
and the elasticity. Um, we don't
Mm.
need to go run in to go get some Botox or whatever if we're feeding the nutrition to ourselves.
Oh yeah, facts.
Yeah.
Um, Reggie, I want to respect your time. I know you've got some things to do today. I
Sure, sure.
appreciate you coming on and just putting
Thank
a
you.
spotlight on this topic.
Yeah.
What is your social media so people can link up with you if they want, follow you,
Oh,
whatever?
yeah.
Yeah,
No, please do. Reg Edited is called. So it's one word, RegEdited. I know. I may have to change that just to my name, Reggie Sweat. But you can look me up under Reggie Sweat and you can find me on Instagram and YouTube. Uh, yeah, now come check me out. And this is the subject matters we're talking about, but very important back to get your lab works done first before you take on regimens of a huge weight loss program
mm,
or anything like that. You want to make sure you're feeling pretty leveled out before you start really getting into serious fasting. I still fast every day. I do intermittent fasting. I'm still doing 18:6 or 16:8, depending. And
right,
but this is the extent that I can do right now. So you guys, if you want to do extended fasting, there I have videos on that as well as Chris, and I have done a lot of that. But and it certainly dropped 20 pounds, no problem.
right.
With the menopause, though, until that levels out, the weight wasn't budging. It
Which
just
makes
wasn't
sense.
budging. I'm like, it's a little joke that God plays on us. I think he's
Oh
got a
man.
sense of humor.
It's important get that baseline. As I mentioned to you
Yes,
all earlier, we partnered with Let's Get Checked, so they're sponsoring the video. I want you all to check out the link. I put the link in there, 25% off on test kits. Get your
that's awesome.
baseline, and then you can do your follow-up blood work, and you can see not only how do you feel, like how are you feeling when you're doing these different changes, but then you can see it with the blood work, which
Right,
just helps to create confirmation that you're moving in one direction or another. And
right.
we want to get ahead of this, you know what I mean?
Yes,
So that we can We can
Yeah.
age like fine wine. You know,
It
that's
age like fine wine, right?
yeah.
Hormones, cholesterol, all that. It all matters. And that's why you should know what your starting point is and where you're going with it.
See,
Yeah.
there you go.
Yeah.
Reggie, it's a pleasure as always. And I definitely hope that you continue to progress in your journey. I appreciate you continue to share with us and be so open and genuine with what you're going through because a lot of people maybe feel like this is more personal. We shouldn't talk about it, but it's like, how are we ever going to, man, we
Yeah.
got to talk.
You know what? I got over myself about the personal side of this because everyone is affected by it. And that means both genders. We're affected by menopause,
Exactly.
either
We
way you
all
look at
are.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
We can do good things with it, though.
All right. Well, thank you once again. Appreciate y'all
Sure.
all for watching. Hit that like button if you enjoyed it. Don't forget to subscribe. Go check out Reggie. Reg edited on YouTube and Instagram, right?
Thank you, Chris.
All
Always a
right.
pleasure, my friend.
Likewise. Be blessed, everyone.